their breast cut off, and I'm just like, oh my God. Like, it's one thing if a child gets into goth or gets into some subculture that's like they can play around with, and then they can exit it when they're adults with their bodies intact and their futures intact. But this cult takes everything away from them, takes their futures away from them permanently. And
also, go on.
Yeah, it's just absolutely unforgivable what's going on in the name of this ideology. Like, there's so many facets of it that hurt so many different kinds of people. And there's nothing redeeming about it. There's not like, oh, well, you know, there's this though. There's this, and this is positive. Nothing is positive about this. There's not one aspect of this cult and what it does to people that helps. It's all harm.
I have a question, Ari, and you know, you probably know. Would you say that with a lot of trans people, right, whichever way around it is, it's more or less a hypersexuality to be either gay or lesbian in the long run?
What do you mean?
So, like, for example, so if you're let's say a feminine gay person, right? Yeah, it's just another contribution. I'm not saying reason, just a contribution to maybe sort of like thinking you want to be the opposite sex, as well as it being like gender dysphoria.
Well, gender dysphoria is a natural part of the homosexual experience. Many homosexuals experience dysphoria over their place in society, their roles, their bodies that they grow out of. Some they never go out of. They just come to peace with or to terms with. It's usually masculine lesbians and effeminate gays. And when you add mechanisms of shame and repression into that and develop psychological complexes of self-loathing around being homosexual, cross-sex ideation becomes an escape, a mental escape from self-hatred, and a way of coping with existing in a world that was built by misogynistic, sexist, machismo men. Like, our world makes no space for effeminate men. You can be a masculine woman, like we had a term for that, tomboys, but all the terms for effeminate men are immediately emasculating, degrading, and try to steal your manhood. What's the term for an effeminate man? It's a sissy. It's a femboy. Yeah. Someone who is, the terms are denigrating, and they steal your manhood.
Yeah, it's a failure. You're being a failure.
You're failing. Even the terms we use to describe what I am have negative connotations.
And the other way around, it's not deemed a failure. The other way around, or you don't really hear if a woman's lesbian, you don't really hear that they're quote unquote a failure or.
Yeah, but tomboy, I know that tomboy isn't derogatory, but I find it damaging to even like call girls tomboys and you know, point out how they are as being different than how girls are. It's just like, just shut up. Just let girls be however they are. You don't have to label them anything.
Yeah, and like there are times in our society, like even accepting tomboys as is a new thing. Like accepting like masculine women, masculine girls is like a recent thing, and then we shifted away from that as soon as we accepted them. But like we never did it with men, because why would our society do that?
Well, that's because like the society views women as weaker. So like to assume, like to view a man in a feminine sense, like it's
right.
Yeah, I guess a tomboy might actually be better. They're like, oh, you're not as crappy as women usually are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Women are seen as weaker, and so being more masculine is seen as a net positive, at least under like a completely modern mindset. Traditionally, women were forced into feminine roles and married off, but like then the inverse is true for men. Like
masculinity is valued over femininity. It's seen as the ultimate.
What I find interesting, and this is going back to sports, right? And you know, the question I kind of have is, you know, everybody can do, regardless of what sex you are, you can, you know, perform the way you want to perform and have the interest as you want. You know what I mean? You know, but what I find if you make a comparison, and it's a question I kind of really want to discover, is if you took an average team of any kind of sport at any level, in a quote unquote what seemed to be a male interest sport, so whether that's soccer or basketball, etc., and I'm sure there's other sports out there. If you took a man's team, there's generally no homosexual or very little homosexuals in the, gays in the squad per se. But if you took an average women's team, I don't know what the percentage between is, but you have a good few lesbians within that squad. And I always find it interesting why is there lesbians who play more masculine sort of games per se or sports rather than like men who sort of like are gay who don't play sports as much or at that kind of level?
Well, because sports are viewed as like a masculine trait, like a masculine thing to do. So like girls who, or women or lesbian women who want to achieve a more like masculine role, because they gravitate towards sports and things.
Yeah, like effeminate gays are less competitive, so we're less interested in competitive sports.
Thank you for the roses quotes.
The only two sports I ever loved two-step was playing football as a teenager with other boys and wrestling for obvious reasons. And I didn't care about any part of football but having the ball, running, and getting tackled. Uh-huh.
I wanted to say, too, what bothers me most, and I don't know, like, how people don't this way, but
thank you so much, Claude.
These individuals will talk about, like, having gender dysphoria, and it always, in most cases, traces back to, like, having a deep uncomfortability with their body parts, especially women, like, to the point where, like, the treatment to make them feel better is a double mastectomy or, like, removal of body parts. Like, I don't see how people can't be alarmed at that, like where people are so uncomfortable that they have to, like, cut their healthy breasts off. Like, I don't see why people aren't alarmed in wanting to help those people, like, overcome those issues rather than just, like, taking away the thing that's making them feel bad.
Really quick, while there's a pause, you guys, if you're not following me, again, what are you doing with your lives? Give me a follow. Every single day it's 1v1 debates, but you never know what could happen. We have people come up here say the craziest things, and we have good, great people come up here and have conversations based in reality. You guys, underline the word reality. Yeah. So tap the screen, share the live, and thank you guys so much. I've been doing this only 7 days, and like, it's really cool to make the connections that I've made with all you guys. Thank you guys for like accepting me. I know I'm like new on the scene. All you guys on the panel have been around for a long time, so it means a lot that you guys are like accepting me and you know, letting me in on what you guys do. Thank you so much.
Well, the more the merrier. The more people fighting this ideology. Like, this ideology needs to end yesterday. It is one of the most destructive, despicable things I've personally ever seen. And the fact that it, you know, targets so many individual groups of people, it's like the ultimate predator. It preys on children. It preys on lesbian and gay people. It preys on autistic people. It preys on women. It preys on people with comorbid mental health disorders. It preys on people with trauma. And it just destroys them, and it destroys society. Like, and so, like, we need every hand on deck, like every single hand on deck that we can get to stop this. That we don't have enough. So I appreciate that. But if you guys will all follow Amy Souza, who is just up here, and she's like absolutely amazing. Oh yeah. What?
Before I disconnect, can I also ask you some questions later about talking points around certain issues?
Absolutely, anytime.
Okay.
And Ari as well, who's we got our two famous Twitter people, Amy Souza and Ari. They're important people in this fight, and they have lots of YouTube videos, and they have lots of interviews with people, and they're activists in the culture who've made a huge impact. So if you can follow, and everyone on the panel, of course, but if you haven't heard of Amy Souza or Ari, like, go and check their stuff out. Go and check their Ari, you have your detransitioner story on YouTube in a few places, right?
Oh, sorry, I disconnected. Yeah.
Oh, you're breaking up.
Voice, trauma and transition with artists. Give me a second.
Okay, hopefully people heard that. You are breaking up. But I think it said trauma. I think he said trauma.
Give me a second.
Okay, yeah. And yeah, Amy Souza she's called the known heretic, or heretic, I guess is better pronunciation. She does a whole bunch of programs and work around safeguarding, helping parents safeguard. She's kind of famous for doing the comparison, like the Little Red Riding Hood comparison, where we're teaching children to not believe what their eyes and ears and stuff are telling them to disregard what their senses are telling them about the man in front of them. No, honey, that's a woman. That's not a man. Doing the opposite of what Little Red Riding Hood taught us. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if more people would learn, again, anatomy and physiology, chemistry, right? Like biology. I mean, you wouldn't, like, there's reasons why people get so offended when I say stay away from our children, right? They get so offended, and it's like, again, you don't understand the science behind it. Like, children's brains are have high neuroplasticity, right? And they're just it's always trying to make connections with new information. Even synaptic pruning, which means they have billions of more neural connections than adults do. So their brains are just so impressionable. And we can use the word impressionable, but that's the science behind what's happening, and they don't care. They don't give a shit. Two stuff. You don't have a rebuttal. Come on now.
Me rebuttal?
Or not a rebuttal, or an add-on, or
I mean, there's going to be so many avenues. You know what I mean? When did this movement kind of like spike? We could talk about that. We could talk about maybe, and again, I don't know these for sure. It's just my head sort of thinking hypothetically. Is it a change of how our parenting skills are, or not skills, but styles? You know what I mean? Due to the generation.
No.
Again,
no.
Very purposeful.
It's the technology. So if you watch the Ed Gein monster show, right? What you see is paraphilic escalation. Like they show it. They show him exposing himself to these murder scenes, like him sexualizing it. They show the escalation when he sees the Shotzi imagery. The same thing has happened to our entire society. Our entire society has been influenced by the hypersexualization of women and the availability of pornography and hypersexualized content. And over the past 3 decades, it's become more and more available to the point where children now have it in their pocket on their phone. And the grooming groups that used to exist in the 80s and 90s, where young, mentally unwell people would end up in support groups filled with old cross-dressing fetishists and would get groomed into transition, now exist on Reddit, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Snapchat, and all of these children are basically being impacted by technology, and we did not pass regulations to keep up with it. There's also the mental health crisis and like the extreme levels of like abuse that's going on in the school systems.
Not to mention the actual like absolutely on purpose, top down corporate fucking billionaire funded from billionaire autogynephiles who like purposefully perpetrated this ideology into society and suppressed anyone who tried to fight against it, and trained trans activists and armed trans activists with money and knowledge and falsified a whole bunch of data in order to pretend that there was an actual health condition that necessitated us to do this to people.
Well, they took advantage of transsexualism, which is a falsified medical condition. But anybody who doesn't believe what Martha just said should look up Virginia Prince. And bear in mind that this man was organizing with other transvestites and sociologists in the 70s at FFS conventions, and in the 80s, he was a self-aware cross-dresser. He was aware of the differences between homosexual transitioners and heterosexual transitioners, and he intentionally cultivated an ideology based around gender that would conflate the effeminate gay boy with the autogynephilic man in order to perpetuate a system of lies that people are born with the opposite brain in their bodies. And you can see where the billionaires stepped in with the Rothblatts and the Pritzkers. If you go look at the advocacy around gender identity in the strikers, the advocacy around gender identity in the 90s. In 1994, it started in Texas in America. And if you comb through history, what you'll find is it just spread from there. These billionaire transvestites flooded the medical system and the academic system with money and programs to push the ideology they conceived of with Virginia Prince, which basically evolved out of transsexualism and captured our entire society.
Yep. And they still back it. They still fund the gender clinics, the NGO foundations, and the trans lobby groups that train trans activists, put them in political positions of power, put them on school boards. These activist groups have pressured the DSM to depathologize transgender identities and turn them into natural, healthy identities that have the only pathology is the distress of how society responds to these natural, healthy identities. They pressured, WPATH itself is a trans activist group, but there are pressures even on WPATH to do things like get rid of the age consent laws or the age laws for, transitioning children. And it just, this whole thing.
You have Biden putting
really
late transitioning.
I'm so sorry, really quick. There's somebody viewing this that came up on the panel screaming at me about how conversion therapy is child abuse, blah, blah, blah. And I really wanted them to come up here so that you guys can explain the insanity of that statement. But I know that you have to go to work any minute.
I have 20 minutes, but I'll tell you, whoever you are in the comments, and I hope it's that gay guy that came in here.
No, it's the real enlightened. They always say conversion therapy is abuse, meaning if a child
conversion therapy is abuse, but trans is gay conversion therapy.
Exactly.
I'm literally a survivor of human experimentation and gay conversion therapy.
They don't see it that way. They see it
well, it is that way, though.
I didn't even think
it is that way.
As he said it makes sense.
Transing gay kids and making them look like straight people. And not only that, but they are it's a literal eugenics program. They're permanently sterilizing gay and lesbian people so they cannot breed. And they're also it's just homophobic. They're pressuring them to have sexualities that don't belong to them, like pressuring lesbians into pretending that they're, that it's okay to have a man in their bed. They're pressuring gay men to see women as gay men, and the whole thing is just about as homophobic and conversion therapy as you can possibly get. Like Jazz Jennings was a little effeminate boy who could have grown up gay, right? Instead, they medically tortured him his entire life and made him a poster child for this cult. You want to talk about conversion therapy torturing gay people. They tortured Jazz Jennings his entire life. He had to have several revisionary surgeries. They blocked his puberty. They put him on wrong sex hormones to stunt his sexual function. They castrated him as a minor. They did a penile inversion that didn't work because they didn't let his penis fucking even develop. Like the gay conversion therapy and the torture they did in the past can't even hold a candle to what they've done to a little boy like Jazz Jennings, who would have just grown up a normal gay boy.
Yeah, exactly. Like they literally took someone with me with internalized homophobia and a complex over being a failure as a man, and they told me that I was a woman on the inside and that this would make me feel better. Like, how is that not gay conversion therapy? Like, to take someone, and it's crazy because, like, gay men have been suffering from internalized homophobia induced by a society that tells us that it's a sin or a mental perversion or a mental illness to even like men, and then we develop a complex around it. And what is trans? Trans is literally an ideology that, at its conception with Magnus Hirschfeld, was a cure for that mental illness. And what did he put in his notes? He said it was cheaper to transition them, cheaper and quicker to transition them and give them estrogen than to give them therapy. It wasn't that there was no psychotherapeutic routes. It was that it was cheaper and quicker to transition them. It's in his notes.
That's not even, like, they didn't even let Gaz have a chance to do that in the first place. Like, there was, he was so, transitioned at a young age that
Hold on,
he
don't
couldn't
come
even...
up here and start crashing out like you've done for 2 days.
That's not natural. It's not natural to be cisgender. It's not natural. That's why you guys have to force it.
Well, good thing nobody's cisgender.
Yeah, Martha, you're
Can I just finish what I was saying?
Right? You're
Nobody's
cisgender.
Can I just finish what I was saying?
Sir, you're cis, and that's why you have to force it.
Yeah,
You have to force it, right? Because it's not natural.
Nobody believes in that sexist bullshit. There's no such thing as a gender identity that matches
it's not
your
natural.
sex.
You see how you abuse?
Yeah, can I just finish
Enlighten,
what I was saying?
honestly, what you're displaying right now is untreated mental issues. Stop it. Just listen. That's your problem.
Let's
Just listen.
Nobody likes finish, and then we can deal with your cisgender crap. Let's
force it.
Okay,
You guys have to force it.
let's
That's
let
all.
Wait a minute. Let people finish.
Sir.
If
you didn't
let Lex finish,
Sir,
and then we'll go ahead with your debate.
Sir,
Real.
Can we
That's what I thought.
This person is mentally ill. Very mentally ill.
I see it.
I got him. Real. If you're gonna come up here, fam,
You don't have to force it.
hear what real. If you're gonna come up, hear what real.
Can I just...
If you're gonna come up here, we can have a decorum conversation. It's okay to get to your bum. It's okay to get your feelings.
You deny
Hear what?
facts. You deny facts.
What? We don't.
We actually want to hear you, but
Deny
we
facts.
can't if you're going to do it this
We
way.
want a decorum conversation. If you can't
Well,
handle
I
that,
just... Okay. Listen.
Okay, can you just stop
Listen, I got 5 minutes.
interrupting? I was
Hold
in the
on.
middle of
Hold on.
speaking.
I got 5 minutes.
I'd like to finish
Hold
what I
on.
was saying.
I got 5 minutes. Hold on.
Only
Okay. Give me 5 minutes. I'll tell you.
Finish what I was
Okay,
saying. You
man.
interrupted me.
Listen, we don't push the
natural.
queue.
You wouldn't have to force
We
it.
don't push the queue.
We'll address that. Let only Lex finish so we can address what you're saying. You're just wasting our time and your time. Let Lex finish and then we'll address what you're saying.
You groomed.
Just let Lex finish and then we'll listen to what you're saying and we'll rebut what you're
But do you not? Do you not groom?
I don't know what you're saying because you keep getting muted because we're
groom
not
kids.
having. Yeah, we groom kids to not castrate themselves.
You
Anyway,
groom kids cisgender.
yeah, to not castrate themselves. Such grooming. But
Can I just finish?
Let's Lex.
Oh, I love
quick.
This person is like mentally ill. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to say that Jazz Jennings didn't even have a chance to discover if he was gay or not before he started, was put on the pathway of transitioning from, I don't know, they say the age of 2, but I feel it was a little bit older, but he still hadn't even begun to develop a sexuality before they started to infer that he was gay and then transition him down a path of being a girl.
Yeah, he might not have even been gay.
He might not have even been gay. There's no way of knowing because he never was given that opportunity to develop those things.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why we have to go back to a child's brain. Like I said, the neuroplasticity, the synaptic pruning, the underdeveloped prefrontal cortex. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's not. This is why you can't have when a child does something like that, oh, I feel like a girl, I feel like a boy. Why are we just running with it, knowing that the brain chemistry and anatomy of a child's brain? I don't get it.
I bet they didn't even say that. I bet this family was targeted by the fucking Anyway, so the person who is come up and crashed out on us there, we actually did want to hear what you had to say and, you know, have a debate with you. The idea of cisgender is just rooted in pure sexism. It just says that you're on the same side of a gender identity that matches your sex, which is unbelievably sexist, that you guys have the audacity to say that there even exists a gender identity that matches the female or male sex. That there's no such thing as that. So no, nobody's grooming children or trying to force them to have a gender identity that matches their sex. That's what you guys are doing. You're saying that there is that, and if you don't have a gender identity that matches your sex, well, let's get out the scalpel. You're the ones grooming children into an ideology that's rooted in sexism, misogyny, and homophobia. We're just actually trying to say that absolutely any way that you are, as an adolescent human female, that's how girls are. Absolutely any way that you are as an adolescent human male, that's how boys are. Absolutely any way that you are as an adult human female, that's how women are. And absolutely any way that adult human males are, that's how men are. You guys are the ones fucking saying that, nope, actually, women are femininity and pink and long hair and makeup and fucking all this stupid bullshit.
And this,
so,
Martha, this is why the LGBT in my book stands for LGBT TERF, because trans is homophobic, and the average TERF is a radical feminist. You know who the only demographic of humans who very commonly supported non-conforming men were? Radical feminists. Feminism in general is something that's always been pro-effeminate men, because feminism is about breaking down sexist stereotypes and uplifting women. And those same stereotypes that oppress women also impact any man who breaks outside of the patriarchal standard for what a man is supposed to be.
And this is why so many feminists get caught up in this ideology too, because they're sold this idea that this ideology does that. It breaks those sexist boundaries and stuff like that, because these men are being women too, and that's breaking the boundaries. And it's like, no, you're just reinforcing them by saying that these men are women because of femininity or because of makeup and hair. So you guys have got it ass backwards.
Trans is literally surgically reinforced traditionalism, which ends up being gay conversion therapy for any non-conforming person, because traditionalism is against non-conformity.
Wild.
It's an antiquated ideology that was thought up by, technically, homophobic, homosexual men in the early 1900s.
Confirming and reinforcing those, the gender and the sex.
Can we get VAR in, please?
Yeah.
I'm here.
If you're a man, stay a man. If you're a woman, stay a woman, there.
Well, you have no choice.
Okay, yeah.
What's your
like nobody can do anything about their circumstances.
You just said that so casually, you have no choice.
We don't. Like, none of this horrific shit. None of this horrific shit that they're doing to people changes the fact that they're male or female people.
So, what's your input? Fucking hell, that's just wild.
Also, Zara, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Hey,
Can y'all hear me?
Did anybody else catch it? 24, you said?
Yeah, 24.
Yeah.
24, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe that trans women are women?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Okay, so two-step or Martha, like I said, my voice is fucked. If one of you want to take this one, I don't know.
Well, I'd already asked why. Why do you think that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Like they're literally just men.
No, they are born male, but the identity is woman.
Right, but woman's not an identity. We're actual real human beings. You can't just identify as something you're objectively not.
You asked me a question, I would like to say, I would like to answer the question.
Yeah, go ahead. You're a little muffled, though, if you can somehow unmuffle. But yeah, go ahead. Unmuffle your muffle, if you can.
You hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, much better, thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, firstly, nobody's saying that you're not human. First off, being a woman and man is a social construct.
Can you be a social
Because you can answer
construct
the
and a
question,
human at
what
the
makes
same
a
time?
woman a woman?
But are human beings social constructs?
Uh,
Huh?
no, being a human
Right.
is already.
So if you say that women are social constructs, it can't be.
If you want to take it to
Okay,
if you
you're
want to take it there,
interrupting. They're answering your question, and you're interrupting, and you have an attitude. So just relax, calm down, cool your pits, and let Martha finish, please.
Well, I just wanted to point out to you that you cannot be a human being and a social construct at the same time. So you're.
You asked me questions. I'm not.
I know, but I'm illustrating to you because you
Can
said.
I answer my question?
Okay, yeah, keep going. Keep going.
So what's the point of asking me a question if I can't finish?
Go ahead, I said.
Because I was being interrupted.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Once again, being a man or woman is a social construct because what can you describe that makes a woman and a man a man?
Being an adult human female and an adult human male. Those are objectively very neutral definitions that include every single man on the face of the planet and every single woman on the face of the planet, regardless of how masculine or feminine they are, regardless of their fashion choices, regardless of what stereotypes they subscribe to, and that this allows us to protect women under the law.
To protect women under the law. Got it.
Have
Do you know
women's rights.
do you know between sex and gender?
Yes.
Sex describes just male or female, which can be any animal or organism that's sexually dimorphic, and gender comes from the word genre, which means type. It tells us more information. It gives us age, age, species, and sex. So you get to know what organism we're talking about, human, what stage of development, and what sex they are. So it's just more information.
And gender. What is gender?
Gender,
if you're talking about the social construct aspect of gender that sociology studies, those are the associative factors to gender. Those are the things, the social constructs that surround gender. Gender itself is not those social constructs. Those are just social constructs that they study that surround gender.
So I've got a question for you, right? Yeah. You say about women and men are just like, gender social constructs, right? What's the stages before you actually get to a woman and a man?
I'm sorry?
What are the gender names before you get to the stage of being a woman or a man?
What are the stages?
Yeah, what's the word for it? What's the name for it? Before you're a woman.
You mean by puberty?
No, before a woman you would be a... Before a woman, you'll be a...
Are you trying to say boy or girl?
Right, exactly. Okay, so if you're saying as a social construct, what's the social construct of a boy and a girl?
That is also a social construct.
Okay, so you're saying about the gender identity, right?
Yes.
Okay, so is a 1 month-old baby...
that 1 month-old baby would be a male or female.
There'll be a male or female. There won't be boys or girls. No, you don't call it a baby.
Are they human? Are they human? Are they dogs?
You don't call it a baby girl.
I don't know what the question would be of what you thought that like.
They'll still be human. Of course they were human. Would they still be a baby boy?
But of course they will be. Of course they will be human.
What's the word for human adolescent female?
You refer to them as what they are. Who are they?
What?
Which is?
Are they a girl or are they a boy or are they a female?
Would a girl or boy be able to tell you what they were born as?
Wait a second.
Yeah, because it lets you know that they're
right.
If they're a girl, they're a female. They're a boy.
Are you trying to tell me that it's only based on what the information they tell you to their feelings? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I mean, you're not going to have a little boy or girl tell you that they're trans or what they identify as purely on just because of.
So you think gender is purely on identity? Let
me finish. Thank you. Like I said, you're not going to have a little boy or girl know about these things yet until they get to a certain age.
Okay. Regardless of that, are you telling me that gender is based on identity?
It's how you are perceived and identity.
Okay. So what's the identity based on?
What's the identity based off of?
Yeah. What's it based on? Yeah, like how you identify. What is that feeling, quote unquote, based upon? Where does it come from? What's it based on? Is it based on you've hurt yourself? Is it based on you feeling happy? What's it based on? Gender and sex is different, right? So what is the gender based on if gender and sex is different?
Once again, how you're perceived and how you identify.
As in what though? Tell me the difference between a man and a woman. Tell me the difference between a man and a woman, so I can get a clear understanding the difference of the identity.
What is the difference between a man and a woman?
Yes, based on the identity. What's the difference of the identity of a woman and the identity of a man?
Well, that depends on what you refer to. What would you refer?
You tell me, fam. I don't know what a woman is or a man, so tell me what the difference is. Like, how can I tell what the difference is between a man and a woman? It's like, I know.
Going back to society standards, what makes a woman a woman.
Don't you find that a bit sexist to define women by societal norms around women?
No.
How do you unabashedly say something so sexist?
How would that make me sexist? Please answer the question.
Well, because let's say we define black people by the social constructs that surround black people, and if somebody performed those social constructs, they would be black too. Don't you think that's racist? It's just you're defining groups of human beings with immutable characteristics.
Well, I didn't get to define anybody. Once again,
as the social constructs that surround them. You're defining women by stereotypes.
So there's certain feminine traits going on by society standards. There's women quote unquote have to have long hair, breasts, curves, these certain curves, and etc. Yada yada. Men have to have a masculine appearance.
That's how you guys are defining men and women, which is fucking sexist.
This is how we do it, don't we?
No, we define men and women by being. Hold on.
Because if you walk out, yes, we do. Because you walk outside and see a trans man without knowing that.
Can you just let
somebody?
I'm assume that person is a trans man.
But so if we see people
asking if that person is trans.
Okay, well, there's no such thing as trans.
Do you really think you pass?
Who passed?
I take you.
We're getting all over. Can we do a 1v1?
I'm not trans. I'm not trans. So therefore, if you're trying to be smart about it, you don't need to. I was born male.
We keep getting all over the place. So can we just do?
I don't know
how. I don't know where that question came from.
Hold on. Jesus, they came up here with hella attitude because they don't want to listen to logic and reason. They don't give a shit about everything's a social Hold on. Everything's a social construct. There's no differences between men and women to them. So anyways, I want to recenter this back to a 1v1 between Za and Marza. Because what happens is when other people jump in, then it gives them leeway to wiggle around questions, and that's not going to happen here. So Marza, go ahead, continue, and then back and forth.
Okay, so I'm just going to keep going on the thread that it's sexist to define women by stereotypes. So I the non-sexist way to define women and the way that allows us to be protected as a category of human beings is to define women as adult human females. And then that allows women to be absolutely any way that we are and not be well, are you feminine? Do you have long hair? Do you do this? Are your boobs big enough? Blah, blah, blah. If you just allow women to be adult human females, which is their physical circumstances, and the adult human female physical circumstance creates vulnerabilities to the adult human male circumstance, right? So we need to protect adult human females from adult human males in spaces, sports, prisons, shelters. We need to record women properly in history. We need to have women's health mean adult human females so that we're not obscuring the reality of adult human females, and we're not dehumanizing them by calling them females. We're using the word that we have all of our rights and infrastructure under in a neutral way. And men wanting to identify into our category causes us more oppression, right? So the way you're defining women not only is sexist and dehumanizing and objectifying, but it also puts us in physical danger because it destroys our protected category in law and destroys our rights and protections in law. So can you defend to me why you want to do all that to women just to appease some asshole men who want to colonize and fetishize our sex?
Firstly, what does that have to do with trans people? What does that have to do with trans women?
The trans-identified males are the colonizers of the sex. They want to pretend to be us, and they identify into our protected category.
Do you think
thus destroying our protection?
Do you think that trans women? Do you really think trans women out here bringing harm to you?
Yes.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
this is one person. This is A to B. So let's leave it at that once again. So once
Hey,
again,
smart ass, let me tell you something. You got the wrong motherfucker because guess what? Martha is very nice, but don't fuck with me. I'm the host. If I want to say yes as a woman,
I don't care.
As a woman, I will say whatever the fuck I want. If you don't like it, get the fuck off my panel. This is a women space. You are not safe here. You got it, sir? So continue the debate or get the fuck off the panel.
I said what I said, though. I said what I said. You got it?
Now that right there is the toxic masculinity, the misogyny that we're talking about. That person came up here with nothing but a fucking attitude from the very beginning. Martha's being very monotoned, even kill. This person is unable to control themselves, and I'm trying and trying and trying. If I want to say yes as a woman, this is affecting me, I am allowed to do so. Bottom fucking line. There is not going to be one man that comes up here and is going to dictate how things are going to go. Because what's happening is the AKA men are now infiltrating and starting to dictate if a mother gets to be called a mother at the hospital or gets to be called a birthing person. That's the shit I'm talking about. It's not going to happen up here, and I'm not fucking taking it anymore. I am so willing and ready to have 1v1 good faith debates, but when you come up here all snappy with your little fucking twink attitude, I don't give a fuck.
Za, if you're still listening, yes, they are hurting women. Like, women are getting raped in our prisons by these men, raped in our shelters by these men. We no longer have spaces that we're allowed to have away from males where, you know, we're vulnerable, where we're naked, fleeing male violence, incarcerated, wanting to compete fairly in sports. We cannot gather away from our oppressor class to do anything. Even if women want to have a festival, the trans activists crash it and protest and harass the women and unalive the organizers, like what happened to Mitch Fest, a trans-identified male, unalived the two lesbian organizers and their son. The trans activists harassed them for every year. It was called Camp Trans. They would camp outside the festival and harass the women and girls going in. Sal Grover tried to have a female-only app where women could organize together, find roommates, and have support from other women. Nope, autogynephiles had to get in there. Now she's had to spend millions of dollars in 3 years of her life fighting the court system to be allowed to gather away from males. We're not allowed to gather away from males because of these fucking assholes. So yeah, it hurts women to pretend that males are women.
And here's the thing, in the comments, he's saying you don't own womanhood.
Yes, we do.
You guys, hold on
we
really
absolutely
quick.
Do.
I want you all 75 of you that are here right now at 11:05 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, okay, October 27th. I want you to look at this. I want you to remember what you just heard, okay? And then I want you to look in the comments, and I want you to realize it is these men. These are the men that are telling us women that we don't own woman, or that we don't own womanhood. We don't own who we were born as. This is the delusion that we are fighting against. This is the prime example. We don't just do this because we pulled this out of our ass. There's literally a live example of a man that came up here with a fucking attitude, in bad faith, had a chip on his fucking shoulder. And when Martha is telling him how this is affecting us women, his response is, you don't own womanhood. That is the piece of shit that I'm talking about. That is why if you hear me Alex Jonesing and raging, it's because of motherfuckers like that. Bottom fucking line. Now, Za, you can get the fuck out of here. Goodbye.
So, like the concept, like you're saying, like concept, the womanhood is a concept. Like womanhood is considered a concept among women because we all experience womanhood differently, but the condition to like experience any level of womanhood is to be female.
And womanhood evolves because like absolutely any way, like absolutely any experience that female people have, or adult human female people have, because woman is adult human female, not adolescent human female. That's what womanhood is, you know, and girlhood would be any experiences that adolescent human females are having. And those experiences shift and change. They're individual, but they're also culturally shifting and changing due to how women and girls are seen and treated.
Even interlap.
Yes, exactly. And so this is like, to say that a male person can experience womanhood because he mimics or he, you know, is mistaken for a female, that's not what womanhood is. Womanhood is female experience in female bodies, and male experiences being recognized as a female or being mistaken for a female, that's a male experience. That's a unique manhood experience, because they are purposefully deceiving the world about their sex as a male person. And for a lot of these men, they love being treated as if they're female people. For a lot of women, our treatment makes us uncomfortable, makes us feel unsafe. But for these men, it affirms them and makes them feel happy to be mistaken for a female. So like, you just can't say that like, if a male is experiencing treatment that women and girls often experience in society, that somehow they're experiencing womanhood. It's just not fucking true. It's disrespectful. And, you know, it's like saying if I was mistaken for a black person, which I have been actually. One of these guys leaned out the window one day and yelled at me, "Go back to Africa!" And I was like, okay, well, does that mean now I know the experience of black people? Does that mean that, okay, now I've been treated like that? I've been treated with racist treatment towards black people. Now I'm experiencing blackhood or blackness. Like, no, I'm not. It's not the same thing.
That's a good point, though. Like it's exclusively like a male experience to want to identify as a woman or like be perceived as a woman, as a male.
Women don't ever do that. Women are never males trying to pretend that they're female.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, guys. Here's the fucking thing. Any women watching this right now, if you are sick and tired and fed the fuck up of this, and you're tired of being held emotionally hostage by these fucking men that want to invade your space and then call you a fucking transphobe if you're not okay with it, give Martha a follow, give Lex a follow, give me a follow, give Two Step a follow, because we fight against this shit every single fucking day. And that is why my voice sounds like shit, because I spent the last week Alex Jonesing on people. But I'm sorry. You know what, Martha? I couldn't stand that little fuck. I was trying to be patient. I just couldn't fucking do it anymore.
It's all right. Ops are few and far between, though, so we do. This is why you see us putting up with so much bullshit from them, because they allow us to have the conversation and make the points. And their misogyny and their ignorance and their defensiveness, like for a lot of these people, they're on the defense, and which is understandable because they're on a panel with people who disagree. And like, you know, nobody likes to be in a situation of conflict. So we do have to extend a little bit of like leeway to them, even though, and they also tell on themselves with their misogyny, which is another thing that we're kind of showing people. We're showing them, here's the people that support this ideology. They're misogynistic, they're disrespectful to women. So all of those things are kind of important in the debate to illustrate to the audience. I kind of feel like we're more talking to the audience than we're talking to the ops. So I just feel like we got to have a little more tolerance, because the ops are like rare nowadays.
Yeah, because they want to come up here and look like a fool.
Especially ops that'll talk to me.
It just showcases. Yeah, but it just showcases like what we're actually like talking about, though. Like when we say, you know, this impacts women, this affects women in law, in society, like the way women are treated. by these individuals because they want to be identified into our oppressed class. Like, it just showcases the way that they behave and the way that they're harming us.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm happy to debate anyone. The time I drop people is if they're just over talking and they will not listen and they're calling us names and they're just being unbelievably misogynistic. They're just trolls, basically, and they don't care to have the conversation. But if they're willing to have any kind of conversation with me, I'm more than down.
Yo, hello?
What's up, CT?
Hello?
I know CT. He came up on panel the other day.
Yeah, I just came out because I wanted to ask a question to anybody who believes that they are women. Say we go, like, fast forward 2,000 years when everybody alive now has passed away, and, like, archaeologists dig up ecological evidence of people. They're not going to think that you're a woman. They're going to think that you're a man because that's what your skeletal mass will show. I don't get it.
Yeah, but their whole argument is that sex doesn't matter. What matters is our identities and how we proclaim ourselves. And this is a transhumanistic ideology because it's saying that, like, we're conquering nature. Yes, nature has dealt us this hand, but we're going to conquer that. We're going to do whatever we want as humans. We're going to use our technology and our intelligence to override nature and have whatever we want to have. But for the most part, that's just absolute delusion. Like, nature has the last laugh because nature is what you are. You can't just, like, subdue nature and change fundamental reality like that. Like, all you're doing is creating a cheap mimicry, imitation, and it just causes harm to you and to everyone around you. So it doesn't, like, it's just not real, and it's just harmful.
Exactly. I feel for these individuals, man. I think instead of, encouraging it, we got to get them help. Seriously.
But so many are, like, they know what we're talking about. They know that it's, like, a mental illness. They know, like, the harm that they're causing. They don't give a fuck, a lot of them.
Well, they're not getting the help they need. Like, that's the thing. Like, a lot of them do need help, and they're not getting the help they need. And that's one of the harms of this ideology, is that there's this whole swath of people with a bunch of different issues that they're not getting help for.
Yeah, but you have to be self-aware to, like, recognize that, though. Like, if you're willfully, like, denying that this is something that's causing you harm, like, of course they're not going to seek out that help.
Well, once people could, like, this is the thing about ideology and cults and things. Like, when you try to talk to cult members, once they've been indoctrinated into the ideology of the cult, it's impossible to get them out almost. Like, this is why I say to everyone, read the book, Combating Mind Control and Cult Programming from Stephen Hassan, who he's really good on, diagnosing cults. He's got, like, a bite model that you can look at. Look at that book. Like, he's a deprogrammer, so his job is to help family members exit family members from cults. And so this is so hard. It's so hard. Even when people are being severely abused inside of cults, they still don't want to leave the cult. And there's, like, so many reasons why that is, right? As soon as people have been convinced that this is the answer to something, especially something that you're mentally struggling with, like, this is so hooking into people, like autistic people, who there really is no cure for neurodivergent brains, right? Like, there's no way but if someone says to you, especially if they haven't been diagnosed with anything neurodivergent, like, if they say to you, like, here's the answer to how you're feeling, to your disassociation from your body, all of these things. And, like, this is just irresistible to people, that this journey, this trans journey to your true self is going to solve so many things. It's going to solve your trauma. It's going to solve your autism. It's going to solve your gayness. It's going to solve your loneliness or your lack of belonging or whatever. Like, it just, so once they've entered into the cult and into its indoctrination, that belief, it's so hard to uproot that belief and tell them, well, actually, this isn't the answer. You haven't found an answer to anything. In fact, you're inside of something that is going to hurt you worse. So if we all read that book, because like the people on this app are kind of like frontline workers in the way that we're encountering cult members of all ages and all vulnerabilities. We almost need to learn how to become deprogrammers, because that's what we're encountering. We're encountering cult members, and we're trying to convince them to exit the cult, or at least for other people to not believe in this cult doctrine. So it's a challenging thing that we're doing here, and I think the more tools we have in our tool belt of understanding like what we're dealing with and how to deprogram or how to get people, and there are tools, there are things, there are ways to, because ultimately if you're in a cult, the individual has to get themselves out of it.
True. Hey, liberated woman, I got a question for you. Is she here right now?
She might have stepped away.
Oh, okay. I'll just wait until she gets back then, because I just want to tell her something I thought was funny. Crazy part is, I think she was telling me that she talked to somebody who said that they had a pregnant boyfriend, and I told my dad about that. Man, he was on the floor crying. I swear to God.
Like they take these terms that are meant to be applied to like women. Obviously, this was a trans man, I would assume. But like they take these terms that are meant to be applied to women, and then like subvert them to talk about like trans men. The host brought it up earlier. It's not necessarily like trans women that are like out here advocating for, women to be called birthing partners, to be like inclusive of trans men. It's the trans men that are asking for that. I don't think like trans women are asking for that.
Yeah, that's whenever people ask me like what's the harm of trans-identified females, I would say, I always say that they are, one, they're violating men and boys' boundaries and consent in spaces where they are in states of undress. Two, they are some of the most insufferable trans activists out there who are, like, they get a lot done, unfortunately. Three, one of the things they get done is they have managed to strip women's humanity in language so that they can not have to encounter their own humanity. This is why I always say when people deny people's sex reality, they're denying their humanity. Like, part of our humanity is our sex. Actually, a huge goddamn chunk of our humanity is our sex. And to just deny like a giant chunk of people's humanity and pretend that they're a sex that they're not, it's one of the most dehumanizing things you can do. But in order to do that, you also have to strip the humanity away from all women and girls and reduce them to a gender identity that both males and females can have. You have to reduce them to like their bodily functions so that you can describe, like birthing person or people with cervixes. So when you do describe women, you're not describing them in a humanizing way. You're just describing them in like a really weird body part clinical way. And that is definitely from the trans identified females. They're the ones who fought because they don't want to be confronted with reality. They don't want to be confronted with the reality of their female bodies. So they want to.
This is entirely hypocritical too, because it's like the ones that are asking to be called birthing person or to be referred like androgynously in such a female like trait that only females could do. Like, why would you put yourself in a position that you'd have to encounter that anyway? Isn't like pregnancy the most
because they'll change the culture. They'll change the culture to men can get pregnant too. So if everyone believes that pregnancy and birth also belongs to men, then they don't have to encounter the fact that this is a woman thing, like that pregnancy and birth is a woman thing. So if everyone pretends that men also get pregnant and men also give birth and that's a manly thing to do as well, then they're still buffered from reality of the fact that they're a woman. So they're counting on changing the culture in order to make this
I would
happen.
say that it's all to like A, affirm, and B, to shield their I don't know, their jollies away from gender dysphoria, like to make like assimilation as easy as possible for people. But like we don't do that for anything else. No. Like, we try to accommodate as best we can, but like not to where like other disabilities or other mental illnesses override entire
reality.
structures. Yeah.
Not just reality for the individual, but reality for everyone else too, because you have to, and it's funny how they keep framing it as discrimination if you don't. So they're just like, they're just like, you need to dehumanize yourself and every other woman and girl in order to play pretend for a group of people who want to deny reality about themselves. And if you don't, it's the same as being racist. It's like, what? Excuse me? Can you say that again? What?
Yeah.
No, it's not.